are still open in Alaska. But other than that, we know Trump has 230 in terms of the electoral vote count, and we know that Harris has 200 as of right now.
And the goal, obviously, is 270 because that is more than half of the total electoral count of 538. And so, are you feeling optimistic? You feeling good?
I'm happy to be with you. So and our colleagues, Michael and Jordan.
And I'll tell you, we are happy to be with you tonight, too, because it's a difficult night. We all knew it would be a difficult night. We all knew it would be very, very close and very tight. But it's also important to remind ourselves and everybody of the fact that there is always, and this has been true of every election in recent memory, a red mirage earlier in the evening, followed by what we call a blue wave. That is, the red votes come in, the conservative, the Republican votes come in because the precincts and counties have fewer people in them. Many of them are rural. And some of the cities, they have very, very large numbers of people. That's what a city is, packed together. And that means that it takes longer to count the votes. And that means that the votes come in later.
So it is the red mirage followed by the blue shift.
Or the blue wave.
Yes.
And but that's important to keep in mind because it applies not only to the whole map but also to individual states. For example, if you go to the key state of Pennsylvania, see what happened when I pushed?
No, it's great. But when you move away from the mic, I can't hear you as well.
Oh, when I go. Well, Pennsylvania is a good example. Or Wisconsin or Michigan. All she needs, Kamala Harris, is Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and she's got it.
And this is called the blue wall.
Or the blue wave.
Yes.
Oh, it's good.
Right.
But it comes in after. The point is,
right.
It comes in after. It comes in late. And what do we know about 2020?
We know, well, so first of all, we know that the AP did not call the 7 or 8 swing states back then until after 10 p.m. We know that
after 10 p.m. on the
Pacific. Yes,
Pacific, right.
Excellent, good. And the 1 a.m. Eastern. And the earliest calls were for Arizona and Wisconsin. Then we didn't know about Michigan until the next day, and we didn't know about Pennsylvania. That was not called for 4 more days.
So in other words, the key states for Kamala Harris, where she has the best chance, we are probably not going to know about if the pattern holds for 2024 that held for 2020. So we say this because I don't want you or
Me?
or anybody else to be discouraged this early. It's too early to be discouraged, and in fact, I am encouraged. I'm cautiously, nauseously optimistic, and I continue to be.
Yes, and I'm grateful you are, because it's making me feel better.
Well, there's also some good news, positive bits. For example, Josh Stein will be the governor in North Carolina. He beat Mark Robinson, who is out of his mind. Hello. That's a big deal.
Yes, we do. That is terrific. I know Missouri was the first state to overturn a near total abortion ban on the ballot.
Good for Missouri.
Done. Yep.
Missouri.
Well, you can say that.
Both states, both Missouri and Missouri did
Right.
it. And then we have Kentuckians have rejected Amendment 2, the ballot measure that would have allowed public funding to go to private schools. Now, this is a big, big issue in many states. And the fact that the Kentuckians rejected public funding for private schools is a big deal. And
Yes.
that's a big, big positive.
Exactly. I will hope Texas listens to the same. Sarah McBride
Yes.
is the first openly transgender person elected, thank you, Delaware, right, to Congress.
Great.
So good.
Congratulations. Congratulations,
That's a big
Sarah
deal.
McBride. That is a huge deal. And I'm feeling better already. Democrats have flipped the Michigan Supreme Court blue. Big, big deal, because Democrats have already done that in Wisconsin. And once you get these state Supreme Courts and they are flipped, that means that's very, very important in terms of gerrymandering and a lot of other issues. And for the first time ever, there will be 2 black women in the United States Senate.
About time. I know, at the same time. So that's exciting. That's Democrat Angela also Brooks, who beat Larry Hogan, and that was in Maryland, and then Lisa Blunt, Rochester, also in Delaware. So
And
good.
New Jersey Representative Andy Kim makes history as the first Korean American elected to the United States Senate.
That's it.
So there's a lot of good news. And there's also Syracuse, New York. Do you remember the good news about Syracuse, New York?
I don't think so.
Yes, that's New York 22.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Syracuse, New York beats Representative John Mannion in New York 22. This is a seat that was redistricted in favor of Democrats, but there was also a very big district, and Mike Johnson made a big deal about the CHIPS Act in this district, and New York, both New York and California, are going to, my prediction, you can blame me if it doesn't happen. I think that New York and California are going to be responsible for flipping the House of Representatives to the Democrats.
I like you saying that, and right now, Dems are slightly
They are
flavored. Yeah, I think it's a lemon lime. But they are slightly favored to. That would be great to take over the House. I mean,
and realistically, they're not flavored to continue to control the Senate.
we know that.
But
And there have been some disappointments tonight on that front.
there have been. My biggest disappointment, honestly, tonight is Sherrod Brown.
Yeah.
And I have to be very clear about this. I think he's a great American. He is a great senator. I wanted him to continue to represent Ohio, and it's just, basically it was a group of very big moneyed interests that got behind his opponent.
Crypto, specifically.
Well, I was not going to say that, but yes, you can say it. Crypto.
I did. It's too late.
It's crypto.
Alive.
Crypto.
Yeah.
It's the crypto bros.
Yeah, exactly. And Trump has already been being Trump today. I mean, he came out on Truth Social earlier and said, big cheating in Pennsylvania, lots happening in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia. And for a presidential candidate, look, I start so many sentences to say, for a president or a presidential candidate, when I'm talking about Trump, breaking the rules, breaking the norms, posting baseless rumors about what's happening in Philadelphia, creating some anxieties about the vote when there's absolutely no reason. There was the Republican who is in charge of the votes in many of these places where Trump is accusing things of going wrong, Republicans are saying, no,
Yep.
there is nothing wrong. Things are going very smoothly.
Yep, the city commissioner, I think it was in Philly, came
Yeah.
out, who is a Republican, and said that is not true. And of course, Elon Musk has been going wild all day. He has tweeted more about politics this year than anything else, by the way.
There's got to be a serious reckoning at some point with regard to Elon Musk, his buying of X, and turning X into really a political munitions factory. And also all of the lies. Russia, and there's more and more information coming through about Russian disinformation in this election. And you've got to, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. And I'm not, by saying that Trump was on the phone with Putin and by saying that Elon Musk met with Putin and Russia, I'm not suggesting that there was collusion or that this is a conspiracy, but I am pointing up a real problem here.
Yep, it's not good. And he's right now watching the results come in.
Elon is.
Yeah, with Trump at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, and Elon, I know you're watching us, and I want you to know that even if, Trump wins, it's not going to happen, but even if he wins, and if you get a position in the administration, I guarantee you, I'm going to make life so difficult for you. Really, so difficult for you. So just be very careful of yourself.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to get that off of my
You'll
chest.
do some Substacks about it. I
Yeah.
did love your Substack today that had a lovely poem, by the way.
That poem was sent to me by my sister, Ellen, and it was a beautiful poem. And I thank you. Thank you. So it affected me, and I put it on Substack, and it went to so many people, and then at least 5 people. Ellen said 5 people sent her the poem back that she sent to me.
She said, "I sent." She say I sent him that?
Yes, she
I'm
did.
sure
She
took
said,
credit.
"Why doesn't my brother credit me?"
Yeah, exactly.
But
Well,
it
she
was
didn't write the poem.
She did not write the poem.
She did deliver it.
And it's too bad we didn't think about having the poem here because it's a beautiful.
And you could have read it to us.
I could have read it to you.
I mean, Michael, do you
Yeah.
want? The team here has put a printer behind us for just a moment like this.
Well,
and you all have promised to update us on anything happening. I feel naked without my laptop and my phone.
I know you do.
I'm
know.
like,
You're not naked.
Should I be looking at something?
This is live, by the way. So
I know.
the other thing that I thought we would talk about is the work that the GOP and Trump has done, setting the stage for disputing the outcome of the election, assuming, as I still am assuming, that Kamala Harris is going to win because of the blue wave.
Yep. And the blue wall specifically, which
And
is
the
the
blue
three,
wall
three
and the
states.
blue wave. But by creating doubts all over the country about the validity of the votes, Trump is not only undermining public confidence in the election system, but public confidence in democracy. And this will go on for years,
Yep.
Heather. This is another example of Donald Trump, his own narcissism, his quest for power and money. Just basically, he doesn't care about what self-governing institutions, what democratic small d institutions he is ruining in the process.
Nope, absolutely not. And what it's done it at multiple levels, I would say, because obviously there's stuff happening at state levels in terms of courts, and smart people like Mark Elias are watching that. But also just the seeds today and the tweets. It's at all these different. I don't know. It's a tapestry of lies and of pretext that they are laying out. So what matters is every single vote being counted.
Absolutely.
First of all.
I mean, every vote, and the basic idea of American democracy is not only is every vote counted, but we are equal in our voting power. And what we've seen for so many years, and we've talked about this before in this on the Klatch, is that the Supreme Court and many Republicans and big moneyed interests have really pulled away from and made America less of an equal political representation system, made American democracy kind of a laughingstock, a mockery of the democracy I used to remember. And a lot of people have become very cynical about American democracy. And I think that cynicism is reflected in how some people are voting. They want to blow up the system. I mean, that's Donald Trump's fundamental promise is stick with me and I'll blow everything up.
I know. It's the anti-establishment.
Well, it's
Watch me do the thing I'm not supposed to do. You'll
Yes.
love it. Come to this party with me. I mean, he really is. He's a bad boy.
and Elon Musk and J.D. Vance. I mean, these are the bad boys that are going to blow everything up, and the people who are going to suffer most are the working class and poor and people who are already disenfranchised. They're
I
going to be
know.
more disenfranchised. Don't get me started.
Wow.
Is there anything?
I think
is
we've
there
already
anything-
started.
I know.
I mean, what are the other things? I don't want to get too much into the certification process and all that, because the good news is you and I are going to meet again for coffee in a couple days. And
Yes,
so
but-
we will have a little more information by then.
The date to keep in mind is December 11th, because it's by December 11th that all the states and all of the final tallies have to be in.
Yeah.
And if they always have been, and they will be, and there is a little bit of some confusion about what happens if they aren't. But I think Donald Trump is not in the White House as he was in 2020. We have a new piece of legislation was passed by Congress in 2022, signed into law by Biden, which does correct many of the problems we had in 2020, closes
Yep.
some of the loopholes, makes it
The
very
Electoral
clear.
Count Reform Act. Also, the first time I think it was passed was 1877 or something. So I'm glad we revamped it a little bit a couple years ago.
We did. We were very quick with that. So I think for most of you out there, another piece of reassurance we would like to give you is that Donald Trump can't fix, that is, rig the system the way that he did try to rig it in 2020. I think that overall, I don't want to be falsely optimistic. I don't want to give people a sense of overexuberance, but I think it's very important for us to be concerned and sober about what is happening, but not panic. I think it is very easy to see these numbers, particularly the early numbers, and be very, very concerned about them. But I'm not in a state of panic at all. I'm still cautiously, nauseously optimistic.
I know you are. And God, I love being able to have coffee with you late at night on a election night
Thank you.
Tuesday.
Thank
But
you.
really, truly, because
Thank
it's
you.
so easy, to get onto Twitter, to refresh the New York Times. I'm hearing something come out of the printer.
Well, this must
This
be.
is cutting edge.
This is cutting edge.
Look
This is-
out, people.
This is information we are getting before any of the networks. So let's take a look.
Okay, so we have, first of all, we have our poem. So when we get depressed, we can do the
Okay,
poem.
I'm gonna
So-
read the poem
okay,
at the
that'll
end
be
of the-
great.
The Associated Press: Republicans win the U.S. Senate majority, seizing control of the chamber for the first time in 4 years. Well, that's not a surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be clear why it's not a surprise. Because most of the Senate, the incumbent senators who are up this year, around 2/3 of them were Democrats. This is going to be very different 2 years from now.
Yep.
When most of the incumbents are going to Republicans.
Yep, and we've been talking about poor Tester for weeks, so we
Yeah.
did. But interesting, so can we talk about this? The Associated Press has just called this. So who is, has it always been the Associated Press? I mean, they are the ones who
This is one of the oddities of American
knew
democracy.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
No. I just want to.
So before the Associated Press, what happened?
This is not a professorial lecture. I'm just going to say that the oldest continuous democracy in the world, the United States, has one very pressing oddity, which is that we don't have in the Constitution any neutral arbiter for deciding who is the winner of a presidential election.
Right.
Except this process that will happen January 6th. I mean, there's no real process that happens at the end of Election Day. People think there is because for so many years, the networks, the broadcast networks and the Associated Press have called the election, which is making a projection. But as elections have got closer and closer, you remember what happened in 2000 with Bush v. Gore? Well, it was impossible to call that. And as a result, it was first called for Gore, and then it was called for Bush, and then it was called for Gore, and then it was called for Bush.
and not till December.
And it went on for over a month.
Yeah.
And those of us who are old enough remember being on tenterhooks for a month, more than a month. And then finally, it was not decided until the Supreme Court in Bush v. Gore, a Supreme Court majority, all appointed by Republican presidents, decided that essentially the recount would stop and George W. Bush would become president.
Yep. Yep.
And as a result, we had Iraq
I know.
and weapons of mass destruction that were never found, and we had the war in Afghanistan, and we had a lot of mayhem
It was bad. It was very bad.
and torture.
I know.
Well, I'm not saying that the Supreme Court is responsible for all of that, but will the Supreme Court get involved this time because this is so close? I mean, remember, we are counting on Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania.
I know.
And I do believe by sometime tomorrow or the next day, Kamala Harris will take these and will get the 270 votes she needs, and then Donald Trump will start screaming.
I love your optimism. Right before this, I was refreshing constantly, and now this is a different refreshing.
Well, I don't,
frankly.
no, but this is important. I don't mean to be a cockeyed optimist here. I really mean to be realistic. These states are very likely to go for Kamala Harris, particularly when you look at what we've been talking about, the blue wave, wall, whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
that comes after the initial
Yep.
red mirage.
Yeah, the red mirage, and then the blue shift or the blue wave, and then
Or
the
the
blue
blue
wall
wall.
is the three. But the blue wall is so interesting, right? Because it was Democrat, Democrat, Democrat for years and years and years. And then Donald Trump came in, and then Biden got it back. And so I like what I mean, we'll have to see, right? More will be revealed.
More will be revealed. Now, is there anything else we need to talk about tonight? Anything you would like to talk about?
Me or?
Anybody?
Well, I wanted to say one other thing, which is that New York Times needle. I am so done with that needle.
Where is the needle?
It's
Is it
on the
top-
homepage,
top of
threatening
the Times
Trump.
Square? No.
No, different needle.
Oh.
So what I want to do, first of all, is create a false equivalent, and I'll create my own needle, and I'll show the New York Times what I think about some of its articles. But let's remember that the needle was pointing to Trump past midnight in 2020. Past midnight. Okay, so if I'm taking the, Zen approach, and I'm saying, let's wait until all votes are counted. Let's wait until we've heard things. Let's not jump and make assumptions. That is something that is good to hear. And don't forget that the needle also favored Hillary until 11 p.m. in 2016. So the needle is not
The
a
needle
perfect.
is almost always wrong.
It's way in the haystack.
But here's another point that I think we also ought to contemplate, and that is that the American public is not stupid. There's a common sense and a basically good-naturedness that underlies the character of America. So that if you were going to ask me, would the America that I know, the America that I grew up with, the America that when I was a cabinet secretary, the America I visited and I understood and I worked with, if you ask me, would that America ever vote for the sludge that is Donald Trump? The answer is no, and they won't.
Love it.
And I'm going to read you this poem.
I like it. Good.
This is a poem, and I have to find the name of the...
I was going to say, you need your glasses?
No, I don't need my glasses, but I do need
Oh, the name of
author,
the poet.
The poet. And maybe while
Michael, can we bother you? Somebody?
Okay, I'm going to read the poem. And I want you to... It's an important poem for today, for what you are going through, what we've been going through. It's called Holding Vigil. And I will give you the name of the author, the poet, in a moment. In fact, it may be coming across.
Yeah, fresh.
Here it comes.
Dun 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 dun. Allison
Luderman. Okay, so this is Holding Vigil by Allison Luderman. My cousin asks if I can describe this moment, this heaviness of it, the sitting outside the operating room while someone you love is in surgery, and you're on those awful plastic chairs, eating flaming Doritos from the vending machine, which is the only thing that seems appealing to you, dinner-wise, waiting for the moment when the doctor will come out in her scrubs and face mask, which she'll put down to tell you whether your beloved will live or not. That's how it feels. As the hours tick by, and everyone I care about is texting me with the same cold lump of dread in their throat, asking if I'm okay, telling me how scared they are. I suppose in that way this is a moment of unity, the fact that we are all waiting in the same hospital corridor for the same patient who is on life support and asking each other, will he wake up? Will she be herself? And we're taking turns holding vigil, as families do, and bringing each other coffee from the cafeteria. And some of us think she's going to make it, while others are already planning what they'll wear to the funeral, which is also what happens at times like these. And I tell my cousin, I don't think I could describe this moment. Heavier than plutonium, but on the other hand, in the great scheme of things, I mean the whole sweep of human history as a soap bubble, because empires are always rising and falling, and whole civilizations die. They do. They get wiped out. This happens all the time. It's just a shock when it happens to your civilization, your country, when it's someone from your family on the respirator. And I don't ask her how she's sleeping or what she thinks about when she wakes at 3 a.m, because she's got 2 daughters. And that's the thing. It's not just us older people. Forget about us. We had our day. And we learned and burned right through it. Gasoline, fast food, cheap clothing. But right now I'm talking about the babies. And not just the human ones, but also the turtles and owls and white tigers, the redwoods, the ozone layer, the icebergs, for the love of God. Every single blessed being on the face of this earth is holding its breath in this moment. And if you're asking, can I describe that, cousin? Then I've got to say no. No one could describe it. We all just have to live through it, holding each other's hands.
Good one.
Be well.
Thank you.
We will all get through this.